It's officially Media Day, which means that Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach, kind enough to join us in the studio. Coach, hey, first of all, just thanks for being here. Second of all, I will endeavor to ask you some questions that you have not been asked like 50 times over the course of this onslaught. How's Media Day been? How's the media onslaught been so far?
You know, I'm obviously grateful for their coverage, and they make Oregon football so special, but I certainly enjoy being in the film room a little bit more than Media Day.
For sure. Understood. Yeah, understood. So one of these days what we're going to do is put some film maybe up on the screen, and then you can do like actually what you want to do as part of media. Does that sound good?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Okay, we're going to work on that. That's officially a Scott Phillips project here moving forward.
There you go. Let's not give away any trade secrets, though.
That's right. It's always like game review, right?
There you go.
Yeah, you know. So tell us a little bit about your summer. Just catch fans up on what you've been doing, what the team's been doing. Take us inside your schedule a little bit.
Yeah, it's such a hard thing to step away from the program a little bit, but I think it's also it's special to, one, let your strength coach run the show. And Wilson Love's done a phenomenal job with our guys this summer along with the rest of his staff. We have some really great assistants in that room. That being said, we always had some coaches here around with our guys each summer. You get an opportunity to be around them, and we certainly spend a lot of time with them. There's a lot of player-led workouts that are happening and happened for our guys this summer, and they did a great job with that. For me, it's an opportunity to make sure I'm not just saying it, I'm doing it. I get to be a dad a little bit. Obviously, you spend time on recruiting calls and those pieces, but like I said, I got to go see the coast. I got to go to Bend and, just be around the great state of Oregon. And I don't know if there's a better place to spend a summer than right here.
You're speaking the truth. Everybody always goes on vacation from the Pacific Northwest in the summer, and I'm fine with that because that means we get a chance to enjoy it a little bit.
I left a little bit, and I'll be honest, that was a mistake. It's hot, it was humid, and I'm sitting here saying to myself, why am I not in Eugene right now? That's where I need to be. So we are readjusting all future summer plans to make sure that Oregon's a big piece of that.
I like that. Well, okay, here comes maybe the first question that you haven't been asked yet. I'm going to be a father for the first time any day now.
All right.
August 12th is the due date. For all I know, as I ask you this question, my phone might ring and my wife might say, you got to go, in which case
right.
Jimmy Stanton's taking over the interviews moving forward for the rest of the day. You got any fatherly advice for me? What should I know going into this thing?
All right, so I don't know how deep I can go, but here's one thing that I always negotiate. I got 3 boys.
Okay.
And my wife's awesome. Sophia's, the best. But when she went through that stress of having the baby, I always made the deal with her. Look, I'm gonna change all the meconium diapers, and anybody that's a parent, they know what that is. That's like before they start to.
Yep.
And I don't know if we were even supposed to say this, but it's before they start to have a normal.
That's right. I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Which no one realizes how good a deal that is, right? Because once you get through those early diapers, you're clean and clear, for a long. Those only last for a few days.
Okay.
So I was in charge of the early diapers, and then once that was done, I for the most part didn't have to be too involved in the diaper changing, which is a big plus.
Interesting. Okay. Matt Ulmer, your counterpart for Oregon volleyball, told me just don't crack any jokes during the birthing
Do
process.
not do that.
Okay.
And I'll say this, we regardless of your stance, my wife had an epidural for the first one, and I was like, well, that wasn't that bad. And for the second, for our son Niles, the anesthesiologist didn't show up.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was like the movies. That was like you always see the movies that are practicing and it's intense. And I remember I told my wife to calm down. Do not tell your wife to calm down during labor. That is not a good idea.
Good to know. I've written down some notes. I feel like I'm a little bit more prepared. And I love asking coaches that question too, because many of you are parents, but you're also father figures to a lot of individuals. How special is that for you in this coaching realm? Just sort of the off the field piece. And there's obviously a lot of stuff that's gone on various teams that you've coached, including this one. Just how special is that for you?
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite parts of the profession. I'm even sitting here this morning, I got a text from a former player that I haven't coached since I was at Sam Houston State or Memphis. There's just a lot of guys that you get to be connected to, and it's those lifelong relationships. I think I've said it several times, but when I was hiring coaches, I was looking for guys that can develop real relationships and develop players. And that's the best part of this deal.
So you talked a little bit about the team bonding over the course of many of these interviews. So you guys went rafting, you went paintballing, you played cornhole. What did we miss anything else?
So the rafting was just the coaching staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the rafting was just
the real
coach.
bonding.
That's the real bonding there. It can't be manufactured, right? But this game, like I said, it's a hard game, and we're certainly not out here singing Kumbaya every day. We're putting in a lot of hard work. But I think the genuine connection happens away from the football field. It doesn't just happen just on the football field. So we try to find some unique ways to capitalize on that.
Who was the best paintballer?
Ope really impressed me out there.
Okay.
Now, I'll say this. In my experience in previous times playing paintball, when you get shot, you're out. I don't know if Ope operates like that. So when Ope gets shot, he just continues to move forward and shoot more. I think everybody was laughing at me. The first time I got shot, I ran up and I got shot, and I put my gun up in the air and I was out.
Right.
And then to me, this is when people stop shooting.
Oh.
On our team, apparently this is when you shoot more.
Okay, sure.
And so I got sprayed a couple times after I was out, and then I said, okay, I guess we're playing where we don't get out. Or maybe the head coach was a target. That might be.
It's possible.
That might be the case in this situation.
When you were playing, would you have taken the opportunity to fire at the head coach?
Oh,
there?
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That
yeah.
makes sense. You've talked a lot about growth mindset, and that I feel like starts with some of this off the field bonding. That's why I asked you about it. Where did the growth mindset idea come from? How have you kind of fostered that in your coaching?
No, I just lean on a lot of different people from my past experience. I think if I learned anything, from guys like Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, it was, you learn just as much from your wins as you do your losses. And if you're a real competitor, you're going to find things that you did wrong in your wins. And I've always called it going to the doctor. We're going to go to the doctor. We're going to figure out what we did wrong. And we're going to take the medicine, hopefully, before we get sick, right? And the thought process there is just you want to get it before it gets you, and I think that's just the way we want to operate. The enemy of great is good enough, right? And we never want to live in that world.
All right, I do have to ask you a question that everybody's going to want me to ask you, even though you've been asked it about 50,000 times. Anything new on the quarterback battle?
Nothing new.
Who was the better cornhole player of all the quarterbacks?
The best cornhole player I've seen in person is Jay Butterfield.
Okay.
It's a special talent.
But who knows if that translates to anything other than cornhole?
He's pretty dang good at cornhole. I've got his counterpart. There's an analyst on our staff, Connor Boyd, who's really good at cornhole. We found that out on the coaches retreat. So that's part of, when you go away in these moments, you figure out what people's skill set is. And Connor Boyd is a great adversary there for Jay.
Talk about the positional depth of your team. Just how comfortable are you with your depth chart heading into fall camp? What are some positions that you're excited about?
I feel really confident that we have players that we can play winning football with. We have more depth at some positions than others. Obviously, the offensive line has a lot of great experience. I'm excited to see those guys continue to gel well and be a strength for our team. I think everyone knows we have some really good linebackers that can play, and I feel a lot better about our defensive line depth too. Now approaching the season, looking at the spring, it was a little bit something that was nervous, but adding some pieces there. Running backs, obviously a really talented group. But I think you just look across the board, whether it's where it's at. I feel like we have winning football players really at each position: tight ends, wideouts, DBs. We've got the ability to be successful at all those spots.
Following up on the D-line coach, there is a lot of experience. Some at Oregon for many years, others at other places, but you've got a lot of experience on the defensive line. Just zeroing in on that group a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I just mentioned it with Dorless. I've been really excited about his leadership and what he brings. I think he's one of the more unheralded players in this conference. I'm really excited. Really our outside linebacker kind of DM position there with DJ Johnson as a guy that really showed out in the spring. And I continue to look for him to get better and have a big season. But really just getting all those guys healthy. Popo, and Keon, all these guys that went through some injuries, and then bringing those new pieces in as well. Excited to see where it goes. So certainly not those only guys alone, because it won't be that. It's going to be, again, if you're good enough, you're old enough, we're going to roll people to have a role on that defensive line in that front. But I think we have the guys to do it.
I look too in the secondary, coach. It seems like you've got so many guys that are so versatile. Just how key is that for you, for your entire defense, that versatility piece?
Yeah, we want to be able to play our best 11, right? And to do that, you have to have guys that understand and are able to play in multiple positions, right? Because your next best safety might also be your next best corner, right? And you want to make sure you're able to incorporate them and utilize that. So we have a group that I think is really savvy. They're doing a good job of picking up our scheme. There's certainly a lot of room for growth. We're not there yet. But that versatility is what allows you to play winning football when an injury happens or there's a change in personnel.
Offensively, there's always such a focus on the quarterbacks, but you talked about running backs there and the skill positions, the offensive line, the experience. Just assessment of the offense. How do you feel heading into fall camp?
Yeah, good, but also excited that we have a lot of practices between now and game one. I think every position group and every side of the ball feels the same way. We've got a lot of work to do. We're certainly not there yet. And there's a reason you have practice one before you have game one.
Right. Take us through the practice schedule. How do you approach fall camp? How do you attack this thing over the next few weeks?
Yeah, because of the fact that you can have some of these installs in the spring and in the summer that we've been able to attack, I don't feel like we're coming in probably a little bit more advanced than some places, and it's not as much of a learning curve. That being said, the goal is to play fast and physical early on. You'll ramp it up as far as going from, helmets to shoulder pads to full pads. We're going to try to get a couple scrimmages in here in early fall camp and really see where we're at. Assess our strengths and our weaknesses, but ultimately, roll your sleeves up and go to work.
I do want to ask you too, just about the tragedy that you guys had to deal with, and we haven't gotten a chance to talk with you about that yet. But you've been asked it a lot. Just give fans the summation, if you could, of thinking about Spencer Webb. And I know this is going to be a year where a lot of times people are going to be thinking about him.
Yeah, I don't think there's a day that goes by that we don't think about Spencer in our program. In fact, I know there isn't. And we want to do a great job of honoring him. I've said it several times that, he's a guy that lived a life, even though it was 22 years, he lived a life that impacted people. And I think every one of us can only hope to impact as many people as Spencer has in a positive way. And we certainly want to do a good job of honoring him this year.
You do a lot of these. So the last question I'm going to ask you is, what do you wish I had asked you in the last 11 minutes?
At media day, I got one question about movies. I'm kind of a movie guy,
okay.
or at least I used to be. I don't get to watch them anymore, but yeah, maybe in the future we can talk a little bit about favorite movies.
Greatest, like what the Mount Rushmore of movies?
I don't know, top 5 or something like
okay.
that. Yeah.
All right. Noted. We'll do that next time. So, Dan Lanning, movie critic, film critic.
I don't know about that.
Well, but film critic, that's every
film
coach,
critic,
right?
Film critic. Yeah.
That is now a multi-definition phrase.
That's
for
right.
you, I think. So, thank you, Coach.
Appreciate
it.
Thank you.